Welcome back to Not So Grand Garage. Today I'm out in the drive and we're going to tear into the 4BT Tahoe a little bit. If you caught the last video, you will know that, or you would have seen, that after a week and a half, 2 weeks of running a fairly light oil blend in it, we already started having some hazing issues. So I know I have coked up the injectors. So we're going to pull the injectors out, get them clean, and then we're going to start doing a little tweaking and see if we can find out why this particular Cummins doesn't like oil. So let's get at it. First up, we got a few things to get out of the way. We got the return line that runs down here along the injectors, and then so each injector has a little banjo bolt going into the side. And we got the injector feed where the top nut. Take those loose, and then I should have enough room, if I remember correctly, to get the injector out without pulling the lines all the way off. But it's been a while, so I've got some homemade tools I made a long time ago to make this job somewhat easy. This is a offset socket that makes getting down in here on these injector nuts real easy. And a slide hammer, and this was before I actually had a slide hammer or a decent welder. I threw this together. That's just a 12mm lug nut with the correct thread pitch, welded onto a bolt basically, and a stack of washers on the end for a weight. And oddly enough, this has worked really well. That's why I haven't thrown it away. I don't really feel like changing it if it works. So anyways, we're going to start tearing this apart, get all 4 of these injectors pulled out, and get the tips cleaned up and go from there. So as you saw, all 4 of our injectors came out pretty easy, no fight there. And right off the bat, I can see our problem. We've got some barnacle action. Let's see here, on the end of this injector. Got them there. 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 And there. Pretty well all 4 of them. Same story. So what I found that works the best for me anyways is a brass toothbrush style wire brush. The brass is soft enough, it's not gonna hurt the tips of the injectors. So yeah, just clean them up really good, and they should pretty well be ready to drop back in. You can also, I've got a pop tester here. I don't know if I've got the adapters for these injectors, because I bought the pop testers to build injectors for the Mercedes. I don't know, I'll have to look. If I've got them, I may blow some solvent through these as well, just see how they're popping. But yeah. Also, all the copper crush washers stayed with the injectors on their way out. And looks like we may have had a little leakage on a couple of them. So when I replace those, I think I've got a bore brush here for cleaning out those injector bores. I may do that and then replace those copper crush washers, torque that back down. Also a note, if you've never messed with Cummins injectors, they have a little ball on them right here that locates the injector body in the head. You want to make sure that the injector is seated with that ball in the groove in the head, because if it turns, it will destroy the injector body or the head, which wouldn't be a good thing. So careful with that as far as when you put them back together. But let's get these cleaned up and see what we can do. As you can tell, it doesn't take much to knock the little carbon bits off the injectors, but I believe I'm going to go on and spray these down as well, and make sure that we get everything off of them, and we'll go from there. Clean the injector bodies up fairly well. I'll go on and pull the copper crush washers off, clean this seat up really well so the new crush washers will seal, and these will be good to go. Now we've got the injector bores cleaned out pretty well. I've got our injectors cleaned up, got all the surfaces cleaned on them, got the tips cleaned. I have noticed there's a good bit of pitting on the sides of this nozzle, and that seems to be where the coking starts. So these nozzles are probably due for replacing. They're original to this engine, and it's got over 100,000 miles on it now. So yeah, we're probably gonna go on and order some injectors for it, something a little hotter to give this thing a little bit more pep. But yeah, for the time being, getting these cleaned up should help us out a good bit. So I'm gonna go on and put new copper crush washers on, and I'll hold them on with just a dab of assembly grease to keep them from falling off while we slide the injectors in place. And I've got new seals for the hold down nuts as well, and I've got new copper seals for the return lines also. So I'm gonna get this buttoned up, and we'll see how it runs. Little bitty dab of grease will hold the copper crush washer in while we set the injectors in place. And I'm going to put a little dab of grease around the locating ball and just around the injector body a little bit to help ease the process a little bit. But make sure that's seated, and we can drop it in place. Just like so. Repeat the process with the rest of them. The hold down nuts, get new little rubber seals put on them. As they go on. Again, be sure to line the little ball on the injector body up with the slot in the cylinder head that aligns the injector. If you drop it in and it's not lined up and you go to tighten these nuts down, you're going to destroy the injector body or the cylinder head, and you don't want to do that. So get the rest of these dropped in and go from there. Well, we've got our injectors back in, return lines hooked up, and all of our nuts here on our feed lines are loose. So we're going to crank the engine over a little bit and see if we can purge some air out of the system. Then we'll lock those nuts down and see if we'll fire it up. Yeah, I'd say we've got fuel, lots of fuel. So I'll be washing all this off now, but now we run all these nuts down and snug them down with our little tool here, or you can use a little wrench if you can get it in there. But yeah, then we should be ready to fire it up and see how it runs. Haze is completely gone, even under a load. When I was dropping it in gear previously, you'd see black just rolling out of the exhaust. I'll put a clip in here, show you what it was doing before. I don't see anything leaking or anything like that. So I'm gonna shut it down, rinse the fuel off of everything. We'll take it for a drive. Running down the road just fine. I don't see any haze, any smoke out the pipe anymore. So the injector coking is definitely the issue. Right now, I don't have a ton of oil in the tank, so I'm probably down to maybe 10%, something like that, which really shouldn't cause any issues. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I've narrowed it down to what happened to cause the issues in the first place. But we'll talk about that here in a minute. Let's enjoy the drive. We're gonna do a quick standing pull and just see how the smoke output is and see how the power is. Well, we are back home. everything is looking good and driving good. No more haze, no more smoke, not excessive anyways. As you can tell by the EGTs and boost numbers, this compound turbo setup produces more air than I've got fuel. So I can't get EGTs very high in this thing. That run there was flat out, and it may have hit 1,000, I don't recall. But yeah, it struggles to get hot. So that might be part of my problem. Not being able to get the injectors hot enough, get the cylinders hot enough to burn off the carbon when this starts happening. But yeah, so the plans. I've already got the timing bumped up an 1/8 inch, which is roughly 5 degrees. That equates to 16 or so degrees advanced. Typically, I would want a little bit more. I'd want closer to 19 on oil for a direct injected engine. But I've decided to go a different route. And with that, what I'm going to do is I've ordered an M&H style timing spacer. And that goes down here on the side of the pump under the KSB. And basically what that allows for is more dynamic timing, up to 10 degrees more dynamic timing throughout the RPM range. So I'm not going to lose power down low by over advancing the timing, and I'm going to gain more timing throughout the RPM range. So in theory, this will help the problem. If it's not enough, I'm going to go on and push the pump towards the head more, probably push it up more closer to 18, 19 degrees advanced, and see how it does there. But right now it seems to be doing pretty well. Also, as you saw, the injectors in this thing, they're not in the best of shape, and they're original. I believe the size is 4x12, I think, is the nozzle size on them. The nozzles I'm planning on getting, or the injectors I'm planning on getting with the nozzle size on those will be 5x012, 5x012. And that's the same injector they run in the 250 horse marine version of this engine. So yeah, we'll see how it does. We're going to start with the timing, because I think that's a big part of it. But I do definitely want to throw more fuel at this thing, which may sound kind of productive, but I don't think it will be. I'm also going to open the aneroid up on this pump again. I'm going to back the star wheel off a little bit. And I think I've got the smoke screw, which is the top. It's the preload on the fuel pin. I'm pretty sure I've got that backed all the way off anyways, because I was trying to eliminate as much takeoff smoke as possible. I don't want the thing blacking out the highway every time I drive it. Although sometimes it can be fun, but I try not to do it. So if I back off that star wheel, it's going to take a little bit more boost to bring on the boost enrichment for fueling. That might help as well. We'll see. But as you can tell, when the injectors aren't coked up, it runs great. It doesn't haze, doesn't smoke. It barely smokes at all under full power, and it cleans up really fast. So I'm confused as to why this is such a problem for this particular engine, when so many other Cummins guys run oil blends without a problem. And I think the majority of it is injector sizing, the injector nozzle type, because most Cummins guys, most 12 valves this day and age aren't stock. They've got big injectors put in them. Someone's tinkered with the pump on it. Someone's ran the timing up. So by the time someone gets it that's running alternative fuels in it, it may be just about right for them. But the injectors I'm wanting to get, they're an SAC type nozzle, and I think that's going to be better off for the alternative fuel application. Reason being, if I can find a picture, I'll put it in here right about now. The nozzle design on the factory injectors, the VCO design, the pintle inside the nozzle has to seal off all 4 of the little ports in the end of the nozzle, whereas on an SAC design, it has a slight chamber behind all those ports and a single sealing point. So if the injector starts to coke up, it won't weep fuel. If say a little bit of carbon gets inside the tip of the injector, it won't start weeping fuel and causing the consistent haze, which I kind of think is what was going on. But yeah, we'll see. We got a lot of tinkering to do, and come winter time, this thing's going in the shop. Hopefully that one will be done and back on the road by then. But this one's going in the shop. We're gonna rip the engine out. We're gonna pull the head off of it, stud it, big valve springs, maybe a cam, maybe some heavy push rods. We're going to spin it a little higher and hopefully get this pig moving a little quicker, but we'll see when the time gets here. But yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up. If you got any comments, questions, complaints, drop them in the comment section below. Try to answer those as quick as I can, but sometimes it takes me a little bit. If you want to support the channel, there's a PayPal account set up. Link to that is in the video description, as well as we've got SuperThanks enabled. You can go that route if you want. If you would, hit that thumbs up button. It really helps us out with the YouTube algorithms. Drives more views to the channel. The more views this stuff gets, the more things I'm able to do, and the more content I'm able to put out for you guys. So, if you would, yeah, hit that thumbs up. Like I said, it helps out. With that said, if you haven't already, please subscribe. We appreciate you watching.